Hello everyone and welcome to our last hatching at home video. We had a really successful hatch and I'm excited to show you all the chicks that hatched and get these chicks to their new homes. So we're just going to wrap everything up today, kind of go over what we talked about in the last 4 weeks, and then a few more things about the chicks before we end the program. So let's go ahead and get started with one of the very first things we talked about, and that was the parts of the egg. And I'm just going to show you the illustration I have here. It may be backwards on your screen, but you can always refer to our lesson that we had about that. So remember, we had our air cell over here, which was where the chicks had their first breath of air. Then we have our yolk, which was the nutrition while the chicks were in their eggs, and that's what gave them the energy to get out of the egg once they were ready to hatch. Then we had the chalazi, the crazy C word, that kept the chick anchored to the egg. Then the white part, the albumin, which also gave the chicks their nutrients while they were in the egg. And then, of course, we have our egg shell, which is made out of calcium and helps protect the chicks. Let's see what else we have on here that we talked about. The germinal disc, which is where the fertilization happened and where the embryo started growing. So those were the main parts of the egg that we talked about. Then once we talked about parts of the egg, we also talked about parts of the incubator and what we need in the incubator to help the chicks stay alive and healthy. So in ours, we had our turning rack, which was attached to the incubator, that helped turn the eggs over every few hours so that they were staying warm and moving to help those chicks develop easier and move inside of their eggs. So in our incubators, we want them to be at least 99 degrees Fahrenheit. I had one that was like 0.1 above the other one, and they both hatched equally as well. We also talked about candling. So candling is what we call the process of seeing the inside of a chick while it's still in the egg. And so this was the candler that we use. I don't have it plugged in now, but you've seen this a few times. So we know what our candler is, and you can use a flashlight if you're at home, your phone light, whatever that may be. So then our chicks started hatching. Once they were in the incubator hatched, we waited a couple hours for them to get dry so that they were able to come out of the incubator in a stable environment, and they weren't going to be too cold or they would not make it. So here I have one of the hatched eggs, and I think I got the right top to it. Maybe, yep. Yeah. So this is one of the hatched eggs, and it's kind of nasty, but this is what they look like on the inside. So everything was absorbed. We keep the humidity up, so I talked about putting water in the incubators every day, and that's so that this calcium that the egg is made out of doesn't get too hard, and the chicks can use their egg tooth, which we talked about, to break out of that egg. So they start at the air cell, they puncture that, they get their first breath of air, and then they puncture the outside layer of the egg, the shell, and they slowly twist around and peck with their egg tooth at this shell so that it kind of evenly breaks off, and then they crawl out of this, out of the shell, and they take a few hours to dry off and kind of get some of their energy back up, because breaking out of that egg is a really tough task for them to do. Now once they were out of the incubator, I put them into the brooder, which is their next stage of life. So in the brooder they have food, water, shavings, and a heat lamp. So just essential things, a comfortable environment for them. They are very delicate, so they do need that heat. And then, of course, as any other living being, we have to have our food and water. And so I originally had all 15. We had 15 of the 18 hatched. 3 didn't make it, which is okay. It happens sometimes. But I originally had all 15 in one brooder together, and then I thought that it might be a little bit better if I split them up so they weren't, fighting over food or anything like that. So I have 8 in one and 7 in the other. They're doing really well, so I'm just going to grab one. I have a brooder on the floor right here next to me, and we're going to kind of look at the chick and how much different it looks from last week. Alright, here's this little guy. Very cute. These are leghorn crosses, and as you can see, their wings, feathers are starting to develop. So when they first hatched, they did not have these feathers right here. It was just like their little wing. Their little tail feathers are starting to grow right here. So they're developing really well, and they are little leghorn crosses. And he's just going to sit here and be like, "What are you doing to me?" So those are our chicks. I'm going to plop him back in here with his friends. Now, after I've handled those eggs and the chicks, I am going to wash my hands once we conclude this. So don't worry, it's very important that you're sanitary when handling any kind of animal, especially poultry. And when I say poultry, that's chickens, ducks, turkeys, anything like that. You want to make sure that you are clean. So when we're talking about the food that we're giving our chicks, I actually had to use 2 different types of feed, which I normally wouldn't do. I normally would stick with the same kind of feed for the animals because that's what they're used to, but we are in a pandemic and I am dealing with what I have. So the first one that I picked up was recommended, a Purina Grow and Start. This is non-medicated, and this just has protein, prebiotics, probiotics, and things like that, things that the chick would need to get started. And then once I ran out of that, I had to go back and get some more. And this is the Do More Poultry Chick Starter. So this has a little bit more protein in it, which is okay because they're a little bit bigger and they're growing quickly. So added protein is okay. And this is just kind of what the feed looks like. They're just little crumbles, easy for them to eat. So I put this in their feeder as well as kind of spread it around into their shavings because they do like to forage a little bit. So that is kind of the wrap up of our program here. We had a really successful hatch. I had a lot of fun, and I'm excited that we got so many chicks. I did get these chicks from the Texas A&M Poultry Center, which you can order online. Just search Texas A&M Poultry Center. You can get them shipped or pick them up at College Station. So if you ever want to do this at home, it's a really great experience. They're really great eggs. All 18 were fertilized. So, yeah. I'm going to switch over and show you our little chicks, and then that will conclude our program. And if you don't mind, after you watch the video, if you will go onto the website, I will post a link for the post test, and this will just help me gauge a little bit of your knowledge gained throughout the program. Alright, so we will switch over to the chick can. Okay, here is our brooder with our 8 chicks in it. It was clean not too long ago, but they do kind of run around in here and mess with each other, so they made a little bit of a mess. So I didn't have the right feeders for them, and I couldn't find any that were the feeders for food, so I just took the bottom of a water feeder, and I've been feeding them out of that, and it's been working fine. And then they do have their water here, which they do kick their shavings in, and I have to clean out pretty often just to make sure that they do have fresh, clean water at all times. So once I conclude this video, I will be cleaning that out. Here is their heat lamp to keep them nice and warm. And then here are our growing chicks. When they were first born, they didn't mind me, but now they've gotten to where they don't really want me to mess with them, which is fine. But once, you kind of grow up and mess with them more, they will get a little bit more domestic. Then we will pan over here. I have these guys on the floor for right now. I do keep them up on this table because I do have dogs. They're not allowed in here, but just in case we have any accidents. But we have 7 in here. They're all a really nice size. They're all pretty much the same. And we have the same thing, our heat lamp, our water, which I will clean out, and then our food. So we had a really great hatch, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I'm excited to get these guys to their new homes where they'll have more room and they're not going to be stuck in this box anymore. And they're going to live long, healthy lives. So this is going to conclude our Hatching at Home series. Again, if you will go take that post test, it helps me out a lot. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this program, and I hope I can bring it to your school next year when I'm allowed back into the schools. So thank y'all so much for tuning in and being a part of this journey, and I hope y'all have a great rest of the year. Thank you.